Okay, we're back at Retro Resus with the main man Tom Walker. So, where are we at, Tom?
Right, this is your engine, as far as we've got. So we've done the time-consuming jobs now, so all the prep work's done. Valves are lapped in, all the cleaning and machining processes have been done, the board's blocked, the blocked board. We've done all the measurements on absolutely everything, so when we build an engine, everything is measured 3, 4, 5 times. Then we back it up with plastic gauge measurements to double check our own measurements.
Okay.
So literally everything's gone through and been prepped. We've had all the spacers machined for the girdle plate for the block, so everything's got on. It's really the time consuming part of the engine build, so the next step is final assembly. We'll give everything a final clean before it goes for final assembly, and we'll roll up our sleeves and get on with it.
Yes, I'm very, very excited.
So as you can see, there's a lot of parts involved.
Yeah. Wow. So you're saying that the majority of the time is getting all the parts prepped?
Yeah. The majority of time in an engine build is definitely prep work, machine work and measurement. So, you know, we want to know that when we put it together, all the tolerances are absolutely spot on. Yeah. So it literally is measured several times. It's not a joke when we say that.
Yeah.
You go through it, you need to know it's right. And then once you've done all of that, you do just a final clean down on absolutely everything. So the head and go right back through the steam tank, block wheel, all that sort of stuff. And then it is onto the assembly where everything benches will be cleaned down again. Everything's set out, go through in a process, starting from basically the crank up.
Wow. Listen, I appreciate everything you've done, man, because for me, just looking at this is very, very overwhelming. I wouldn't even know where to start.
A lot of bits involved.
So if you just give us a general rundown
okay.
of what we've got.
Okay, so we've got, somewhere I've got your cams as well. So we've got your cylinder head, we've got your uprated valve springs from Supertech, you've got Inconel valve set, so they run a stainless steel inlet and an Inconel exhaust valve to cope with the heat.
Okay.
Got your vernier pulley with it, so we've gone for the Wiseco boost line con rods and the Mile Motorsport pistons. We tend to find they're a nice, reliable setup, very, very, very strong. They're not the lightest on the market, but we've gone for strength in this build because we know the owner's got a heavy right foot.
Size 16.
So, yeah, the Mile Motorsport pistons, we swear by those. They tend to have very good oil consumption characteristics. And they don't tend to be too noisy from cold, which is nice. Gone with all the ARP uprated studs. Again, definitely required on this build. We want to see 600 plus on this, don't we?
We do, mate.
So we've gone for the Bartek oil pump upgrade. So we've got a high flow oil pump, but this kit comes with the full pressure relief kit, so it can run a constant oil pressure rather than over pressuring it idle.
Okay.
So yeah, we're running a standard crank on this one. This is the only thing that is pretty much standard on it, but she should be good for the figures we want to see.
Is that going to be, if I wanted to push the power further?
If you want to push much further, particularly if you wanted to do sort of drags, that sort of thing, quarter mile times, if you want to go much further, we'd be suggesting a steel crank on it.
Okay.
Which you can get for around, I think, about 1,500 quid. It's not ridiculous. It's kind of bulletproof in it, and then, but where do you stop from there? You know, this will be a nice setup that should be reliable. But if you start putting a steel crank in it and you're trying to launch it, do you then go for billet main caps? So these are the main caps that hold the crankshaft into the block.
Okay.
Obviously, it's got the girdle sits on top of it with the spacers and the ARP bolts. But you can get billet caps. It then means line boring the block, and the cost just spirals and spirals and spirals, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just at what point you stop, but we feel that this is, you know, a reliable package that will take the power without going too far, without breaking the bank.
Got the biggest smile on my face. So in terms of turbo, because I did say on Facebook, I updated people and let them know that the 770 we're not going to be using anymore.
No, not going to go for the 770. It's been around for a while now, and there's a few cracks starting to show in its performance. You tend to have to run them very, very hard to get the figures, and they don't seem to be making the figures on this application in particular that we were hoping for. So we'll probably be going back a step and going to the GTX Gen 2 setup. They've proved to be very, very reliable. We've never had an issue with one. We've always got good power out of them. So I think that's the one we'll go for. Sometimes better the devil you know, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
And yeah, again, should be a nice reliable turbo setup.
Yeah.
With a little bit of headroom for future tuning if you want to.
Those downpipe, man. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So we've got the Manifold and Downpipe Kit. This comes from Nortec in Peron. Again, very, very reliable setup. It's been used a lot.
Yeah.
The quality is absolutely fantastic. Machine welded, most of it is, apart from the collector and the flange plate. But as you can see, it's ported inside. So it's a cast collector. You just can't really beat the quality of it.
Yeah.
And the reliability as well. You know you're going to fit it, it's going to work, it's going to do what it says on the tin. We've got a Wagner race intercooler for it, and we've got a GFB wastegate for it. So it's all good quality stuff.
Yeah.
And should be good for what you want it for.
I can't wait. I'm telling you, I'm so excited, man. So I don't want to hold you down to a figure. The last thing I'm going to say is, with all this that we've got in this application, if we use a turbo, what would you say would be a reliable running power?
It should have a reliable 600 plus horsepower on it.
Yeah.
If you were to start pushing, I mean, every engine's different. Like I say, we've got the cams. We've gone for cat cams as well. I'll have to dig them out. So every engine build is slightly different, depending on camshaft choice, compression ratio, all those sorts of things. So we tend to push the turbo until we find its happy limit, and then we back it off a touch for reliability. But we should be seeing over 600, and we're not going to push it ridiculously hard. Yeah. So, all right.
Music to my ears.
Music to your ears.
And I know it's taken a lot to get this to this stage, anyway.
Yeah, business has been busy. Let's say that. So, and with the EU and everything like that, parts have been more of a nightmare to get than usual.
Yeah. Even the Wagner intercooler, I couldn't get hold of it anywhere.
Yeah, managed to get that actually through our friends at EcoTune. Yeah. So they'll be doing the software for you as well. We work pretty closely with them a lot of the
time. So would the car need to go up to Scotland for that,
it'd be nice to get it up there for hitting the absolute best we can, but we've spent a fair bit on equipment this week. Some specialist equipment so we can do some more in-depth tuning, particularly for the white S3 that's outside actually.
Coxes.
Yeah.
That's going to be a beast.
Yeah, we've been out doing some running miles on that, but we spent out on some equipment for a specialist program for that this week as well, which is pretty widely unused by most tuners. So it's I think it's 1,500 quid just for the cable on that. So. But it will give you the edge on mapping, and it will make the numbers. So well, I look forward to it. Thank you for your time, Tom.
No problem at all. Stay tuned, man. So obviously we're on the final assembly soon.
Yeah, final assembly soon. We'll do a time-lapse video of that.
Yeah.
It should be interesting to see that, and then it'll be down to you to get the fuel in. So AKS will be supplying the injectors for that.
Yeah.
And then we'll get the turbo in and we'll do assembly and get her in.
Can't wait.
All right.
Stay tuned, like and subscribe, and hit that subscribe button.